Today, I'm going to attempt to beat Baldur's Gate 3, but if you die for good. It's basically just a Nuzlocke, but for Baldur's Gate 3.
A what?
If you don't know what a Nuzlocke is, let me explain it for you. A Nuzlocke is a challenge meant for Pokemon where you try to beat the game, but if the Pokemon faints, then it's considered dead. And you can't use that Pokemon ever again. If you run out of Pokemon, then you lose. Now, I applied these rules to Baldur's Gate 3, but instead of Pokemon, it's your companions. If you or your companions die, then you can no longer use them. Now that you know the rules, let's begin. I decided to make a Shadow Sorcerer half-orc, since both the class and the race have an ability where if I reach 0 hit points, I get back up at 1 HP, meaning I can get downed 2 more times before I die. With my character built, it is time to start the adventure. I began by attempting to free us, the Intellect Devourer. Unfortunately, I did not succeed, so I killed it. I met Lysel, killed a few enemies, and then my computer crashed. About a month passed, and I fixed the problem, and so I continued on. I saved Shadowheart, collected some explosives. I tried to get the Flaming Greatsword, but didn't succeed, as well as having a close call before escaping the Nautiloid. I then woke up Shadowheart, got Gale, leveled up, then got Astarion, then got Lysel, and put Gale back at camp. I went to the ruins to get Withers, as he was going to play an important role on this journey, and you'll see why later on in the video. When I got to the ruins, I persuaded the folks there to leave peacefully.
Nobody's getting any damn cheese. Now move it.
And demolished the dude in the entrance. Jesus. I did end up getting caught by the other enemies, but I threw a conveniently placed explosive barrel at them, making the battle very trivial. I then found Withers, took a long rest, and then decided to head to the Grove, where we had to fight some goblins. After the battle, we recruited Will. After that, I saved a child from a druid lady, stole a note, killed the healer, and celebrated by learning guitar. Afterwards, I was feeling confident with my abilities by then, and decided to save a child from some harpies. It went mostly smoothly, but I did almost die. I was then sent to meet Mole, where I was tasked to steal the idol that the druids worship, but I will come back to that later. I then entered a hidden cave near the prison, where I killed some goblins that were hanging out. I then made the mistake of standing too close to an oil barrel and almost ended the run. God. Oh. God. Damn you. Ow. I then found a dying man, took his brainworm, then found Scratch, and made my way into the blighted village, where I killed a bugbear that was sleeping. And then played a little ditty. After I convinced some ogres to join us,
Take my bone horn.
then entered a basement, where I then found a strange book that I
You
don't
try to
plan to do
examine
anything
beneath
with.
the-
I went and got some infernal iron, then intimidated some goblins,
Willie!
saved the gnome, got sent to hell, and met a devil named Raphael. I then went to go and recruit Karlach. After Karlach successfully joined the group, I then felt confident enough to go and take out a big group of gnolls that was nearby. When I got there, I successfully commanded the gnoll leader to attack its own kind. But even with the gnoll leader on our side, it was still a very tough battle, and things did not always work out. Luckily, everyone did survive, to which I commanded the gnoll leader to leave the area. But instead of just disappearing like it normally does, it went into the cave and killed the 2 civilians that were nearby, and then left. Since they were dead, I casted Speak with Dead on them and learned about their hideout, but I didn't really care for that because I don't think they had anything that was worth getting. Afterwards, I had to give Gale an artifact for him to munch on. Since I didn't, he would explode and end the run. I then respect everyone in the party to change their subclasses as well as their stats to make them a little better in battle. After, I took a long rest and resolved Will Karlach's conflict, and in the morning, Scratch joined camp. We then killed some fake paladins, fixed Karlach up a little bit,
Excellent.
made a bet with the tieflings to see if they'll make it to Baldur's Gate,
That means we're desperate.
then went to the swamp and found out the potion seller was a hag.
Bloody hell.
I then fought some red caps, which was a big mistake, as Shadowheart almost died during that battle. We then met a Gur that Astarion killed to make sure he'd keep quiet. But I had the spell Speak with Dead, so that didn't really work out for him. Following that, we entered the hag's home and foiled her plans by telling the woman she had captive that she killed her brothers, after which the hag fled deeper into her lair. But before I followed her into her lair, I decided to take a long rest, in which I met Will's devil friend, who gave Will some cool horns. Now it was time to enter the hag's lair, where we made quick work of the hag's goons. I didn't want to deal with the hag's traps, so I just decided to cast Featherfall and had everyone jump down. I was feeling pretty confident at this point, so I decided to take on the hag in an epic battle. All of us did end up going down, but we weren't technically dead. But I didn't know what to do at this point. I didn't want to end the run too early. So I decided to have the dice decide who lived and who died. I made it 50-50.
You live. You die.
If they rolled an 11 or higher, they lived. If they rolled a 10 or lower, they died. I should have put down more explosives. I had 7. Alright. Starting with myself. 9. Well, my character's dead. Alright, a start. 8. He is also dead. Shadowheart? 4. Shadowheart's dead. 12. Lysel's the only one that lived. Unfortunately, though, I ran into a problem, being that my character is dead. Being that my character is the leader of the party, I could not have him leave the party. So I would only have 3 characters in my party at a time.
3! Take it or leave it!
I refuse to have that be my entire party. I did end up finding a solution though. Modding. I added a mod that allows me to alter the number of people I could have in my party, but doing so had a different problem with it. The mod only allows my character to alter the party group, as well as my character is also the only one that can change who's in the party and who's not. So, I have to keep my character alive. Don't worry though, I'm only gonna have my character be a camp and to do those things specifically. Now that my character is dead, I decided to bring out a new companion, and I choose Withers. Let me explain. With Withers, you can purchase a hireling to be a companion for you in case you don't have any. But I'm only limiting myself to 1 out of the 12 that he has. There are 2 reasons why that is though. 1, it would be a little broken if I had 12 extra companions that I can just hook onto if one dies. The second reason is, if you actually talk to your hireling, you will know that it's actually Withers who is controlling it. But Withers is only 1 person. So in the rules of that, if one hireling dies, then that means Withers dies. And thus all the other hirelings would not work either, since they would need Withers to control them. Now that that's settled, I'd like you to meet our new companion, Ungslosh, my clone. I was only going to use it for an emergency, like if I really needed like a certain class, but I really wanted to play this character, and I didn't really get a chance to actually see his full potential. Anyways, I respect Karlik and Will since they're the other 2 teammates that I decided to bring into the group. I then went to get my revenge on the hag, and this time I was not taking any chances, so I brought all the explosives I had. It didn't kill her, but it did cause her to start dialogue to make a deal for her to live with Karlak, since my character was dead. Which wasn't a good thing, since Karlak's charisma is really low. And she was also poisoned, which means all her checks have disadvantage as well. To no one's surprise though, I failed the check, so I wasn't able to get the extra ability point and to keep girl. So, I killed the hag. Afterwards, Lysel wanted to talk to me, for you know what reason. But I was dead, and my clone could not speak to any of my companions, which means that I cannot speak to any companion ever for the entire game, even at camp or not. Anyways, I saved the lady's husband even though he was a zombie. Then I fought some mud bandits and found a note in a stump about the shadow druids at the grove. I took a long rest, but found out that you can't take a long rest with 5 people in your party. Afterwards, I went back to the grove to deal with shadow druids, and convinced Kaga to help and redeem herself a little. Once the Shadow Druids were killed, I decided it was time to go and steal the idol for Mole, and it didn't go quite so well.
Punishment for
Why is none of this happening?
Can't slow down.
After we were able to head back to camp, everyone calmed down and we went back to Mole, gave him the idol, and he gave us a ring of defense. After doing all of that, I think it was time for me to head to the goblin camp. And doing so, I had to convince some goblins to let me in. After getting there, I immediately went to go and kiss and lick a goblin's foot to get a ring, but I was caught. A battle ensued, but after attacking the main dude, he gave up almost immediately. But afterwards, I still didn't have the ring, so I waited for him to be alone, and then I killed him. At this point, I was gonna go save Halcyon, but I was mildly underprepared to fight the entire goblin camp, so I decided to take a long rest. But during this long rest, Lysel tried to kill the original me, who's still at camp, but I was gonna just pretend that that was the clone me, and if I ended up somehow failing this role, I would have just considered the clone me dead. But it didn't matter because I did succeed, and that's when we met the Dream Visitor. And a note, just that she's ugly. I then took the time to go and save Halcyon. I did it recklessly by killing the main guard, but then another goblin came in and the fight came out and almost alerted the whole goblin camp.
God, who the hell are you? So kill the goober in the front.
No smashing!
I then went and confronted Minthara and challenged her to a fight.
You dare!
The fight went pretty smoothly, however, there's that one moment where I felt like I was almost smited to death. But we did succeed in knocking out Minthara, and now it was time to go and free Halcyon. After Halcyon was free, Halcyon told us to go and kill the 3 goblins, which I went to go do. I started with the priest. I purposely got imprisoned by her, and by not attempting to break free, someone comes along and saves me and ends up killing the priest as well. Next was Drorag's. I started with convincing him that I was on his side, and once the conversation was over, I casted Minor Illusion many times to get him onto a unsecure bridge, where once he was over the bridge as well as some other enemies, I broke the bridge and he fell and died. But now that Droragson is dead, all the enemies became hostile and another fight broke out. The fight wasn't too hard since most of the goblins tried to help another goblin that I pushed into the spider pit.
No freaking way they're jumping down to the spider pit.
the battle was over, I returned to Housen and told him that the goblins have been dealt with, and then I went to the grove to get my reward. I didn't want to go to the party just yet, so I went to Walking's Rest to save the Chancellor and to get a good staff. Then I went to the party, but I still had 5 people in my group, so I couldn't take a long rest, and since it was a party, I couldn't tell people to leave the group. But don't worry, I was still fine because I could still talk to my clone and have him leave the group, and I was able to long rest anyways. But if I didn't have that hireling, I would have been stuck. In the morning, Housen told us to go to Moonrise. I gave Gale another item for him to eat, and I also felt like I needed to level up before going to the Underdark. So I mistakenly went to the Goblin Camp. The battle started with Zell and Karlach taking the left side, with Will and I taking on the right side. Once the ogre started to come to the right side, I decided to Misty Step up to the roof in an attempt to kill the wizard goblin in one move, as it will run away immediately after it gets hit. The plan did not work and the goblin escaped anyways, and I wasted a level 2 spell slot. Some of the goblins decided to start coming up to the roof to fight me specifically, which caused a problem because I would no longer be able to help too many people. Once it was Will's turn again, I had him climb up the vines to get away from the ogre, as well as kill the one goblin that was up there. Now that the ogre can no longer reach me and Will, it set its sights on Lysel and Karlach, but they've been able to hold their ground for a long time now. I gave Will a scroll that should have helped him, being that it required a critical miss in order to miss, and that's precisely what he got. With my last level 2 spell slot, I decided to help Karlach and Lysel with their goblins so that they can start helping out Will and myself. Will was starting to get surrounded and it was starting to worry me a little, so I decided that on my turn I was going to help him. Unfortunately, the walls on the bridge is stupid because you can't attack through it even though there's very obvious gaps. And because of that, I ended up running too close to the sleeping goblins and they ended up joining battle. Now that it was the goblins' turn to do things to us, I got a critical hit on myself and ended up getting pushed off the roof, which both got rid of my high ground and almost killed me. After Will also got a critical hit on himself, I knew that I had to bring at least Lysel or Karlach over to help us out. But before it was Karlach and Lysel's turn, a bugbear threw a spear at Will and knocked him down. On Lysel's and Karlach's turn, I had Lysel cast Jump on herself to go and help Will as fast as possible. And doing so would cause an opportunity attack. And now it was only Karlach to 1v1 the ogre. On my turn, I made a blunder by attacking a single goblin, when instead could have potentially just thrown a potion on both Will and myself, and get us both healed and healthy. In a desperate attempt to get the goblin away from Lysel and Will, I had Lysel attack a single goblin, which she failed to kill, and desperately tried to push off, which also failed, instead of healing either Will or Lysel. And because of that reason, a bugbear jumped down from the roof and attacked Will and killed him. Soon after, Lysel went down as well, and fearing that I'll lose a second companion, decided to actually do something useful and I healed her up. And with my offhanded attack, I attacked the goblin that was on 1 HP and actually ended up hitting it and killing it. With most of the enemies now on the roof, I knew it was safer to hug the wall so that they'll have no choice but to go after someone else. I had Lizelle drink a potion that healed her enough where most of us were now healthy and less likely to die. Where I then had Lizelle also hug the wall, as there's very few things that she can do in that position. After a few more rounds passed, a dumb bugbear decided to sleep on the job, and then a goblin pushed him off the roof right onto Will's body. After a lucky crit from Karlak, she successfully 1v1 the ogre, and now she can actually come and help us who were struggling to kill the rest of the goblins. After a few more rounds, we started to slowly but surely kill all the goblins with all our excess amounts of potions that we had. At last, the battle was over, but not without Will dying. Since Will was our first natural death, we could not remove him from the party. So, unfortunately, we had to revive him again just to get him out of the party and then kill him again. Which was just salt in the wound. But even with Will being dead, we still had to replace him. So Gale was added to the team. And now that was the last of our group members until Act 2. We didn't even level up from that big battle, so we ended up returning to the goblin camp and finish off the last little bits of goblins that were scattered around the place. And then we finally leveled up. Now we are level 5, and it is time for us to enter the Underdark.